Okay, so Fae Farm is such an addictive game with a really unique and refreshing twist on already familiar farming mechanics. As the most anticipated farming sim RPG this year for many players, I thought maybe our expectations are way too high to please all of us. But in the end, it totally delivered, and I have nothing to complain about. Well, almost. I do have some critique to address, but more about that later. So let's talk about 7 things that you should know before getting into Fae Farm. Many thanks to Phoenix Labs for providing me with an early access review copy. I couldn't be more grateful getting to try out one of my most anticipated farming sims this year. What even is Fae Farm? Fae Farm is essentially a farming sim RPG with a magical spin, which means that we can expect to create our own magical character and dive into Azoria's world, leading a simple farmer's life in the beginning, or rather a magical one later on as we progress. For everything we do, be it daily chores or adventuring, we can use magic. We have magical plants, magical creatures, spells and potions, fairy wings. It is a dream come true for any cozy gamer who loves to indulge in a magical fantasy RPG that on top of it all also looks irresistibly adorable. The magic unfolds very slowly. One aspect that players need to be aware of is that while Fae Farm is luring players in by promising an enchanting magical fairy world full of magic, it is actually quite the slow burn, and it will take quite some time to even get to see any fairies, or until we get involved in all the potion brewing, casting magic spells, or flying around in our own fairy wings. To be clear, it took me about 10 hours to get to this point. For me, this promise of a fairy realm really kept me going because I just wanted to explore the magic behind this game so badly that I kept grinding my way through all the quests in no time. And it felt even more satisfying to finally reach that point in the game where a whole new world opens up to you after you've worked so hard on achieving this goal. On the other hand, the start of the game might be a little too slow for some players, putting a damper on early gameplay and leaving them wondering when the game will even start getting good at all. So if you should get into Fae Farm, let me just say it will get better and better, and the grind to, let's say, chapter 4 or 5 will be so worth it, I am telling you guys. Which leads me to the next point: questing and story progression. Just a fair warning, Fae Farm feels extremely rewarding, so be prepared to get obsessed over this game. Story quests, job quests, romance quests, there's just such a large number of quests you can accept, and you will never run out of things to do. The story chapters are unlocked upon quest completion, and it feels very gratifying to grind for items to unlock the next chapter and see how the story is going to unfold. That also means if you are not a quest lover and you are someone who doesn't thrive doing the item grind, this fact might actually be a bit off-putting instead. But rest assured, you can still totally play in any pace you like, and the game won't push you to complete these quests at all. I haven't heard many people talk about this, but it just needs to be said. Fae Farm's sound effects and music are such a vibe. It is done so beautifully that doing any daily activity or errand feels super relaxing and atmospheric, be it thanks to the enchanting music or sometimes the lack of it. And the game just knows when to spoil us with crunchy ambient sounds that fill the silence. Combat is easy. So I am one of the few people who absolutely adore action RPGs, but I am also a real coward when it comes to combat mechanics. If you can relate, rest assured, Fae Farm comes with a bunch of colorful enemies that are quite easy to manage while keeping the fight dynamic and fun. You are not going to run into any trouble avoiding taking damage thanks to the jumping mechanic and the ability to cancel charged enemy attacks. If you're just looking for some fun and don't need a high difficulty level to feel entertained, and you just love casual dungeon grinding, Fae Farm is perfect for just that. Quality of life elements. There are a bunch of quality of life mechanics that make Fae Farm stand out from other games and that make its gameplay feel just so gratifying and enjoyable. Sometimes it really is the little things that can improve an experience. One thing that struck me immediately upon starting Fae Farm is the absolute freedom to move around the island. Not only can you jump wherever you please and use the funny glowing mushrooms to fly even higher, but you can also climb rocks, swim in rivers, or even the ocean to reach your destination. Honestly, moving around the map has never felt so refreshing in any other farming game. And there's absolutely no need to pay attention to the time, because at the end of the day, we are automatically sent to bed at midnight without any penalties. It is incredibly satisfying and relieving to know that I can keep playing and exploring as much as I like without constantly watching the clock. And while we're grinding and farming, most of our tools are automatically switched, eliminating any worries about potentially ruining crops. Instead, you only need to switch tools when going bug catching, fishing, or using your magic staff. NPCs and interactions feel bland. So I am a fangirl that loves 2D romance if you didn't know already, and what I usually love most in life sims is the possibility to fully immerse myself in them, which means not only building up my dream home, but especially feeling like I'm part of a social community that feels alive and breathing. And while the visual character design in Fae Farm is undeniably adorable, I just couldn't help but feel that the characters' dialogue and personality felt bland and repetitive. NPCs would even repeat each other's sentences a couple of times and have the exact same fetch quest with no special background behind them. Talking to them mostly functions on a surface level, and it wouldn't even have bothered me as much if the game wasn't advertised in a way that actively promised socializing and especially marriage. I think because of that, my expectations went up way too high and I ended up being disappointed in that aspect. But I just want you to know that, despite that, you can absolutely have a blast playing Fae Farm if you are aware of this issue. But let me know in the comments, are you going to be getting the game, or how was your experience with Fae Farm so far? I would love to know. But that's everything from me for now. Have a lovely day and I hope to see you in the next video.